is good now. Just move. If you get to this stage,
Look at him.
try to let it show first.
I'm going to let everybody in. Yes.
Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. 1 second as we get our stuff together.
Now I can do it from mine.
You can take a host, or should I give you a host?
Just keep it here.
Right.
Very
It's good. We're good.
I think that one, is that one better? Yeah. Hi, everybody. Can you all hear us okay? Yeah. You? Can someone say something and we'll make sure?
Yeah,
we can hear you?
no, we can hear you.
Great.
Something.
We can. Excellent. Thank y'all. All right. Okay, is there a way to change the view on here so it's everybody? Okay. Thanks everyone for being here today. We are beginning the Education Research Center Advisory Board meeting for September 25th, 2025. Before we get started, I'm going to take attendance for the board members. I know Kathy might be joining late, so I'll just watch for when she joins, but we'll go ahead and take roll right now. Eugene, here. Holly.
Here.
Megan. Jackie. Angie.
Here.
Rayon.
Here.
Celeste.
Here.
And Kathy. She's on, yeah.
Kathy's joining.
Oh, she is. Yeah.
If you give her a
And I'll ask for Megan one more time. Linda.
Here.
Kathy, you here? I know you're. Sorry. Waiting to get you officially on the roll. I see you. Can you? Oh, sorry. Sorry, Kathy. I'm rushing you.
Megan is here. Looking.
Yeah, I'll give him 1 second. I think we're gonna have. Yeah. Hamilton. Megan? Are you here? Oh, I see you now. Megan and Kathy, could y'all say?
I'm here. Kathy Horn, here.
Sorry, Megan is also here. I was having audio trouble.
No, I know y'all were just getting started, so apologies. Great, okay, so that part is done. Before we continue on to the next item, I just want to note we are removing item number 9 from the agenda, the consultation with legal counsel. Just want to say that. All right, moving on to item number 2, public testimony. We don't have anyone who registered, so move on. Item number 3, consideration and possible action to approve the minutes from our last meeting, August 14th, 2025 board meeting. Are there any questions or comments about the last meeting? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Jackie. I move to approve.
This is second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, moving on to item number 4, consideration and possible action to approve the consent calendar. Do many papers. Here it is. Okay. The portion of the agenda consists of items that are routine and will be enacted by one motion unless separate discussion is requested by a member. Currently, the items on the consent calendar are extension 4, extension 5, extension 6, extension 9, extension 10, extension 11, extension 12, and extension 13. Are there any questions or comments from the board or requests to pull any of these off the consent calendar? I did want to request that we pull off extensions 9 and 10 because there's something we want to make sure we note in an amendment for those. Are there any others? Okay. Not, do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
This is Holly. I motion to approve.
Second,
This is Angie, I'll second.
great, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. All right, and moving on to agenda item 5, consideration and possible action to approve additional data and amendment requests. So we'll start with data 1, UH059. Are there any questions or comments about this request from the board? And if not, is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve, Celeste.
This is Jackie. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes. Data 2, UTD 170. Questions or comments on this one? Did have a couple questions. Don't know if the researchers are here to answer questions about the research questions and how the request fits into.
This is Brianna. I'm here.
Hi. Great.
Hello.
So my first question had to do with, so the request for data has to do with marriage and divorce records.
Right.
To add to the original approved project. And so I wanted to understand a little better how this specific data answers the the research question that you were originally approved for this project.
Right. So yeah, this actually came up through a recent presentation we gave. So that's how we got interested in the idea, but it's more related to the question of how do immigrants in public schools affect long run outcomes of children across a wide range of across a wide range of domains. So in terms of college, labor market, and activity in political participation. And this was included as another adult outcome that people thought were interesting in relation to how immigrant exposure in school might affect marriage market outcomes.
I guess I'm confused about how this outcome fits into the overall original requested project that had to do with, well, as I'm looking at your original project, it's educational outcomes and work economic outcomes and political.
Yes.
And this is a different outcome than what was originally approved. So
Gotcha.
are you saying it's kind of a new research question?
Well, yeah, I guess technically maybe you're right. It would be kind of listed as a new research question. But yeah, just it kind of fits into the broader one of how does this affect adult life in terms of, economic outcomes, educational outcomes, political outcomes, and, this other important outcome of who people are marrying could also be an outcome in and of itself, and also a mechanism for explaining, labor market or political participation. But we're happy to try to, be more clear about whether it is a separate research question or how it fits into the original research questions that we had proposed.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful. Also, kind of considering how adding this data and being able to see this outcome, how it fits into the broader, all of the work coming out of here of how it's a benefit to
Yes.
Texas.
That makes sense.
So I think that's also not quite clear just from this write-up either, but
Okay.
I don't know. I want to give a chance for anyone else to ask questions. If there are any.
Yeah, definitely. It was hard for me to see the link between the marriage ID or divorce indicators, or, those kind of identifiers with educational outcomes, not to mention about benefit to Texas.
Mhm.
And then, yeah, so I would definitely, this sounds like additional research questions for sure, not directly related to your original proposal.
Okay. So pretty much, is there a way to expand the current research questions we have, or would you advise just trying to start a new project potentially?
I think that's a conversation maybe we'll have to have, but I think at a minimum we need to have a write-up of what the new research question is and how it relates to the original request.
Great, thank you.
Original proposal plus, I think needing to see stronger benefit to Texas.
Okay.
I think that's also the missing piece. Trying to imagine what you wrote up for the first proposal.
Yes.
And then not sure about the FERPA exemption, if this included the original proposal.
Yeah, any other thoughts from the board? I don't know if anyone else had a chance to look at the original. I do want to know, I think we can wrap up, I think that's the starting point is how, is this a new research question, basically, but also I think the data itself that is requested to be brought
Yes.
in is on our list of data that the agencies have should like decided are PII.
Okay.
So I think that's another discussion, because I think as like what is in here is considered PII for the purposes of supplemental data, but
hmm
there's another, we'll need to like think through if there's if there's a way to use the data in a way that doesn't. Yeah, that isn't PII.
Okay, that's helpful. Yeah, so regarding that front, do you suggest we have further discussions with Holly and try to come up with a way to make it less identifying? Or do you have any suggestions for us right now about what would be allowed and what wouldn't be allowed?
It's hard right now because
Okay.
I'm not, I think with the write-up of adding the data, it's hard to kind of understand exactly what would be needed
Yes.
to answer the question. And so I think that's part of the conversation is what exactly is the research question? And can that be answered with what type of data? I just don't want to say anything or give advice when I'm not quite sure what the goal is and how it fits into the overall project. But yeah, I mean, I think we're happy to discuss that as well as you're thinking about that.
That's great. Thank you so much.
So I mean, there's the whole board, but based on that piece where it seems like this is a new research question,
Mhm.
I think this would, one option would be to decline as submitted and allow the researcher to rewrite this in a way that gives the correct amount of detail so we can consider it, but open to board conversation. Okay. Then I'll make a motion to decline as submitted. Is there a second?
I'll second Celeste.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, cool. Conversation going on this one. All right. Data 3, UTD 190. Questions or comments on this one? And if there are none, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Megan. I motion to approve.
This is Rayon, I second.
Yeah, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving on to additional data and extension requests. Data for an extension 1 UTD 126. Questions or comments on this one? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Kathy, I move to approve.
I second, Eugene.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Data 5 and extension 2 UTA 1 to 2. Questions or comments on this one? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
is Angie. I'll move to approve.
Second, Celeste.
Aye.
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 Any,
Sorry, I hope I heard you right, Melissa. I was ready to vote.
yeah, yes. Any opposed? Motion passes. Moving on to extension requests. Extension 3 UTD 117. Any questions or comments? Board. Not, do I have a motion to approve? Or a motion, or any other motion?
I'll move to approve, Celeste.
This is Megan. I'll second.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Extension 4 was approved on consent calendar. As was 5, extension 6 approved on consent. Extension 7 UTA 171. Questions or comments from the board? And if not, motion to approve. I motion to approve. Eugene.
This is Jackie. I second.
Right, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Extension 8 UTA 172. Questions or comments, board? And if not, motion to approve. Or any other motion?
I'll move to approve, Celeste.
Do I have a second?
This is Megan. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Extension 9, I asked to pull off of the consent calendar because we have different start and end dates for the original. And we wanted to make sure we have the correct ones for the approval. So Celeste, on our end, we have a start date for this one of 12/15/2022 and end date of 12/15/2025.
You're on mute, Celeste.
That was not what was written. Is that what you're saying?
Correct, yeah, that's not what was written.
Let me see if I can check real quick. Okay, I have, it was 12/15/22 was the original date. Is that what you're asking? Yeah. And then,
Yes. Okay,
yeah, that's not what was written though, right?
correct, the 9/1/21 is what was.
Oh, okay. No, I have 12/15/22.
Okay, and the end date too, it said 8/31/25 and we have December 15th, 2025. So
That's what I have too. 12/15/25.
yeah, then whatever the motion is for this, I think we just add a amendment to correct those dates on the form. Are there any other questions or comments from the board about extension 9? If not, do I have a motion to approve with the amendment to correct the dates?
This is Kathy. I move to approve with the corrected dates.
I will second. This is Megan.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, UTA 222. Same thing, Celeste, I want to double check start and end dates. 'Cause we have a different date in our records than what's on form. We have a start date of 15/23.
I have start date for this one, for 9/21/23.
We have a different. And then the end date, do you have
9/21/25.
of 9/21? Okay, so we have a different end date on our records. So what if we? Oh, okay, we double check, okay, okay. It's the correct dates, what's in the actual thing. Okay, so are there any other questions or comments? If not, I would do-
Motion to approve, Eugene.
I'll move to approve, Celeste.
All in
I'll
favor?
second.
Oh, that's,
Aye.
Celeste is the second.
Aye.
We're all over. Any opposed? Motion passes. Extensions 11, 12, 13. Oh, and 13 are all approved on consent. So we will move on to proposal 1, including remote access request UH 117 to intensive college advising programs improve labor market outcomes for economic decision students. Experimental evidence from College Possible Texas. We have someone to present on this one.
Yes, this is Ben Castleman from the University of Virginia.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the board for considering our proposal. This is a proposal with my colleagues, Kelly Bird at the University of Virginia and Gabby Lohner at University of California, Berkeley. Our project proposes to investigate the impact of a Texas-based intensive college advising program, College Possible Texas, on students' labor market outcomes. This proposal would build on an existing randomized controlled trial we started in 2015 with College Possible Texas. To date, we've used National Student Clearinghouse data to investigate the impact of the program on college participation and attainment, and have reported large impacts of intensive advising through College Possible Texas on bachelor's degree attainment, driven almost entirely by increased attainment from Texas institutions. Our primary research question for the proposed project is whether participation in College Possible Texas's intensive advising program leads to better employment and earnings outcomes for students in Texas. Secondarily, we also propose to study potential mechanisms through which intensive advising potentially affects earnings. For instance, aid receipt and therefore college affordability, or major choice as a couple examples. The ERC data would be tremendously valuable and necessary to investigate both of these questions. The Texas Workforce Commission data on quarterly employment and earnings would allow us to construct our primary outcome measures pertaining to impacts on earnings and employment, while the coordinating board data on major choice, aid receipt, and other measures would allow us to investigate mechanisms. We envision multiple potential benefits to the state of Texas. There is substantial public and private investment in Texas in college advising organizations, which collectively serve and have served tens of thousands of students over the years. Our hope is that our research would inform whether these investments lead to improved economic outcomes for students served. We also see potential direct alignment with the coordinating board's Build a Strong Texas strategic plan, and particularly the focus on credentials from Texas institutions, propelling graduates into lasting, successful careers. 95% of the students in the experimental sample attend Texas institutions, so our results hopefully can inform the strategic plan. We do propose supplemental data. College Possible has maintained personally identifying information for the experimental sample, as well as student consent to use that data for external matching, and other measures from the randomized trial. And so our proposal is that we could facilitate data sharing between College Possible Texas and TEA and the coordinating board, and then TWC, to merge the experimental sample into the ERC environment, and position us to investigate our research questions. We are very happy to answer any questions that the board might have, and of course, welcome any feedback or suggestions for how we could strengthen the proposal.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
This could be just a minor point, but I suggest that specifying which FERPA exception this proposal qualifies for. That would be great, because I think you laid out, that the project meets requirements for FERPA exception, but just specifying which FERPA exception, I think that'd be clear. And also, I was going to ask if you project require double S, that you need to look at credit accumulation as well. That'll be double S.
And GPA along with that, right? Yeah.
Right.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
I apologize. The audio from the coordinating board room was, for me, a little choppy. I heard Celeste's comments. I believe the comments from the board were around specifying the specific requirements for FERPA exception, and then speaking to the credit accumulation outcome. Did I hear those correctly?
CBMOOS was what she said.
Additional requests for the double S.
Ben, this is
Right,
Kathy.
we can't hear. Yeah.
Yeah, Ben, this is Kathy. There was a recommendation for that you consider requesting a set of additional files, CBMOOS files, to help answer your question fully,
Okay, thank you very much, Kathy.
which I would second.
Okay, we appreciate the suggestion and can certainly modify our proposal to request that additional file. Thank you very much.
And I don't know if you want to think about the TSI as well, whether that be just the TSI files or the CBM002.
Thank you very much, Celeste. We'll look at both of those files as well, and incorporate them in a revised proposal.
And just out of curiosity, College Possible Texas, I really hadn't heard of it. Is it a nonprofit organization?
It is a nonprofit. It was formerly known as College Forward. Some of you may have been familiar with College Forward, which operates in Austin and Houston. Subsequent to the start of our RCT, College Forward joined with a national nonprofit college advising organization called College Possible, and which operates in numerous states. And so it's effectively a rebrand. Same program, but instead of College Forward, it's now known as College Possible Texas. It is a nonprofit.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And just to let you know, you probably won't get your supplemental data this fall.
That's very helpful to know. Thank you. And we are flexible, of course. And so if the board approves the project, we are, of course, happy to work on whatever timeline is feasible for the agencies and the board.
Okay.
Can you all hear us now or no?
It's a little better, but not great.
I also heard a notification a few minutes ago saying the recording had stopped.
Yes.
And I don't see the slide presented anymore.
Can you all hear if I just use mine instead of the room
Yes.
audio?
Yes,
Better.
much better.
Who knows what's happening with the internet at the coordinating board. But we're trying to get the slides back up. So we'll just use my computer for a while. I think all in all, this is what I heard at the end, is adding the OOS to the request, and then a request to just specify pick one of the FERPA exceptions. I will say one of the FERPA exceptions you listed was the aid, providing student aid, which I think this program you said is just really connected to a student filling out the FAFSA, not necessarily for figuring out how much aid a student gets. So I think usually that FERPA exception for student aid has to do with more specificity of like type of aid and amount of aid rather than just filling out a FAFSA. So I think probably the other FERPA exception is more precise.
Okay, thank you very much, Melissa. That's great clarification, and we will adjust accordingly.
Melissa, I heard also, besides the OOS, the CBM 002
Okay,
and TSI files.
And the what? TSI
And I'll say it
files?
again. Yeah, yes.
Okay, S2 and TSI. Is that right? Thanks. All right.
Yes.
So, okay, so do I have a motion to approve with the amendments to add a request for the CBM OOS, the CBM 002, and the TSI files, and a revision of the FERPA statement?
I move to approve with those amendments. Celeste.
This is Angie. I'll second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate the board's support.
All right, proposal 2, including remote access requests, UH 118, incomplete information, college choice, and wage inequality. Do we have a presenter for this one?
Yes, I'm on. So my name is Brian Prescott. This project is joint with Nathan Zhang. We are both PhD students at Washington University in St. Louis. So this project is motivated by two issues: undermatching and information gaps. By undermatching, we achieve situations where high-achieving students from disadvantaged backgrounds enroll in less selective colleges than they're qualified for, and information gaps in settings where students from these disadvantaged backgrounds may not know what information to use when forming their expectations about how much they will earn from attending university or choosing a specific major. So we would like to use the ERC data, specifically high school records, college enrollment, financial aid, and earnings over time, to build a structurally econometric model that will allow us to understand how students are forming these expectations under incomplete information. So specifically, we will be able to answer the following questions. What information do students use when deciding to attend college or choosing their major? Do students from different socioeconomic groups use different sets of information? And if we gave everyone the most complete information possible, how would wage inequality change? So the two decisions that we're particularly interested in are the decision to attend college and decision to major in STEM or not. So we think that this project will benefit Texas by providing better information for instructors, be it professors, high school teachers, or academic counselors, to give better advice to their students that is more aligned with their long-term goals. This can decrease wage inequality and increase labor market efficiency. And we think that we meet the FERPA exemption under the improving instruction. Specifically, we will give better information for academic counselors to improve their instruction for high school students and for undergraduates. And that is all. Thank you for considering our proposal.
Great, thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
You mentioned getting the SAT and ACT scores. And
yes.
Since those aren't directly available, I also thought maybe you would want to have the CBM 002 and the TSI files.
Yes, that would be very beneficial. We can include that in a revised proposal as well.
Oh, and also the CBM OC1, because you have CBM 001. But that was discontinued in 2021.
Okay, yes, yeah. So that would also be very better. That would be.
It may not matter, I guess, if it for
think it's-
2021.
We could restrict ourselves to prior to 2021, but yeah.
Yeah, then you wouldn't need it.
I think it's in there, or Yuji says it's in there. 1 second. In the remote form, oh, but maybe not in the.
Oh.
In the table? Which page is that?
On page 6.
Do you see it?
I didn't see it.
Oh, I think we're all looking at different ones. Sorry. The thing I have, no, it's a different one. It's not. Let's see one. Oh, it's on page 5. Does list the OC one, right? Do other people see it?
No.
On page 5. Okay, I want to make sure I make the motion correct if it's not in there. I see it, but Celeste, if you don't see it, we might as well just put it in the motion.
No, go ahead. I see it now. I was looking at a different one, sorry.
No, I just want to make sure we get it. The other thing we have noted is that the remote access form says 1 year. And I think it should be 4, right?
That's my mistake. I can
That's
update
okay. We
that.
could just put that. I just wanted to put that in the motion so we can. Okay, so as far as adding data, the 002 is what I've heard.
Yeah.
Okay.
002 and TSI if they want that.
And TSI. Any other questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I just have a question related to the benefits to Texas section. The authors of the proposal said that this proposal would uncover which sources of information should be shared with students. And I'm just wondering if, the researcher, I can't see them on the thumb text, but I'm wondering, could you elaborate like how, what kinds of, how this, proposal would elaborate on what those sources of information could be? Like you use the term information, very broadly, but I'm just curious how this could help like advisors, uncover different kinds of information that they could use for guiding students and the majors and the careers they select.
Yeah, great question. So really what we have in mind when we say this is the way we'll be able to test hypothesis to tell you, given a set of socio-demographic characteristics of the student, do they make their decisions with X and Y variables instead of, or X, Y, and Z variables? And so maybe this will change, maybe this will be different across demographic groups. So if we have some students who are using more variables from the data set in their model where they make decisions relative to other students, and we have an idea of what students' income would be in both cases where they made the decision and didn't make the decision, then we can get an idea of which variables maybe first generation students are not using when they're making their decisions.
Can you tell me what those variables could be though?
So maybe it could be the return to, maybe they don't think that their rank within their test scores means that they will perform well in STEM. But so maybe they think that in order to do well in STEM, they have to be in the 80th percentile, but really you just have to be in the 70th percentile of your test scores in your class. So if they are not using that information or not using their SAT scores or their high school test scores at all to inform their decisions, then we can figure out which variables are being used and not being used.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you so much.
I do think that's a good point. I think it would help to have in that section on benefit to Texas, kind of making that clear connection to what that information is, what the policy might exactly be, to just, you know, bring us there specifically.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We can definitely add that into our revised proposal.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve with the following amendments to update the remote access form, to add requests for the CBM 002 and TSI data, and to add specificity to the benefit to Texas section?
This is Holly. I motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
This is Megan. I second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Great. Proposal 3, including remote access requests, UH 119, the role of student debt on major choice and labor market outcomes. We have someone to present on this one.
Yeah, hi, I'm Anne Marie Schweinert. Thank you guys for listening to me today, and all the feedback you'll get back on the project as well. So I am a postdoc at University of Missouri, and this project has 2 co-authors, Andrew Smith and Heather Little, who are both graduate students at UW-Madison. So as a brief overview of the project is focused on student loan debt, and in particular, the effects that can have on choices that students make while at the university, and also choices they make after, if they have student loan debt, if they don't. The project specifically uses the Be on Time student loans from Texas to look at whether or not student loan debt has impacts on these outcomes. So in particular, the proposed project is going to look at how much does having promised forgiveness for graduating on time decrease your time to degree. Additionally, the Be on Time loans, they have GPA cutoffs that you are required to maintain in order to have student loan debt forgiveness. So how much do these cutoffs impact your major choice, given that some majors tend to have lower GPAs than others? And then, what are the impacts further out in the labor market? So contingent on getting forgiveness, if we compare you to individuals who did not get forgiveness, does this change things like your job-to-job transitions, your earnings, etc.? So in terms of the benefits or why we need Texas ERC data, this is a Texas-specific program. It really wouldn't make sense to evaluate it outside of Texas. It also has benefits to Texas as well. If we find that, these loans with this, conditional transfer upon graduating, increased graduation outcomes, right? That, typically borrowers only see real gains to their education if they graduate. So that's a large piece of information. The flip side of that is if we see that it changes the composition of majors, right? This could have impacts for businesses that are looking for things like STEM majors, really, to grow the economy and increase productivity in the future. And in terms of the FERPA exemption, we're directly speaking to financial aid. So we're looking specifically at, financial aid in some sense that's given to students conditional on graduating on time. I think that's all I have. Please let me know if there are any questions. I know I've probably gone a little too fast.
No, that's great. I appreciate the overview. Are there any questions or comments from the board for the researchers? One thing we noted, similar to some other ones, is the ACT and SAT score data that you requested isn't there, but if you request the CBM 002, there is some information there. So suggest adding that to your list.
For sure. Yeah, we would happily add that. We can conduct some version of the project without the ACT and SAT, but it's much better with it. So if we can get it, that would be wonderful.
Other questions or comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion to approve with the amendment to add the CBM 002 data?
This holiday motion to approve.
This is Rayon, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here today. All right. Proposal 4, including remote access request UH-120, assessing P-TECH post-secondary outcomes. Have anyone here to
Hi.
talk to us? Hi. Welcome.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Dr. Rachel Rosen. I'm a senior research associate at MDRC, and I'm the principal investigator on this study. I'm here with my colleagues, Emma Alterman, who is the project director, and Jed Terez, who is the data manager. So there may be specific questions that they also can answer. We're requesting access to de-identified student-level data to study outcomes for participants in Texas's P-TECH programs. P-TECH is an innovative career and technical education model designed to prepare students for both college and the workforce. These programs integrate high school, college, and career training, allowing students to earn a high school diploma, an associate's degree, and industry-recognized credentials at the same time and often at no cost. A recent rigorous random assignment study, which we conducted here at MDRC, found that students who attended the original P-TECH model schools in New York City were 5 percentage points more likely to have earned an associate's degree by 3 years after expected high school graduation, with impacts notably driven by young men who received associate's degrees within that time frame at 3 times the rate of male students in the comparison group. Since 2017, the Texas Education Code has specifically authorized the creation, operation, and funding of P-TECH schools that integrate academic and CTE education. But Texas's P-TECH model is unique. Unlike the original New York City model, which operates as small standalone schools, Texas's P-TECHs are often embedded within larger high schools and open to all students. The Texas programs also typically follow a 4 or a 5-year sequence compared with the 6-year model in New York City, and emphasize partnerships with colleges and employers to provide dual enrollment and work-based learning opportunities. This study would allow us to understand how the adaptations and scaling across Texas of the P-TECH model is related to student high school, post-secondary, and workforce outcomes. Specifically, our research questions are, we aim to understand how students in P-TECH programs perform on key milestones, including high school end of course exams, high school graduation, college enrollment, degree attainment, and workforce earnings. Our analysis will focus on 9th grade cohorts from 2018 to 2023 to examine outcomes and variation across schools and districts, as well as across students. The data housed at the ERC would be especially valuable for allowing us to answer questions about the P-TECH model at scale, as well as to be able to follow students through their P-TECH experience into a variety of post-secondary and labor market experiences, as well as to understand variation across student demographics, school districts, and geography. The study aligns with the FERPA audit evaluation exception and directly evaluates a program established by Texas law. The benefits to Texas are that Texas has put millions of dollars into the development, monitoring, and implementation of P-TECH schools across the state. And this study would provide actionable insights for Texas into whether and how P-TECH programs are supporting student success in the long term and across the state. Given the rapid expansion to approximately 250 schools in Texas and the meaningfully different implementation from the New York City model studied in our earlier evaluation, this is a unique opportunity to study P-TECH's impacts and its adaptations at scale. I will, like I said, I'll be leading the team along with Emma and Jed, and we plan to disseminate findings publicly on MDRC's website, and the project is funded by Bloomberg Philanthropies. We're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Suggesting addition of OC1.
Oh, okay. I don't know if y'all can. We
No,
have
I
audio issues.
couldn't hear that, sorry.
UG is suggesting the addition of the request for the CBM OC1.
CBM OC1. Okay, and what's in that?
Sorry, let me put the mic closer to her.
So that's since you're requesting 001, we replaced that with OC1 starting in 2021. So that's why I'm saying, in addition, it will be helpful for you to request OC1.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful.
Okay, sorry.
I was going to ask two questions. One, just real quick, you do mention having special ed student files, but there's 3, it's been separated into 3, and I don't know if the board wants to add the 3. Now it's, what is it? District Program and Services.
I think we've done that in other proposals, is just make sure we put in all 3.
Okay.
Okay, so we need to, just to clarify, we need to amend to request all 3 special ed files?
Correct.
Okay.
And then, oh, did you want any data past 24?
We're looking at students through 9th grade cohorts in 2023. So I guess we would want the data as long as we can follow them for what's available. I think when we put this together, I don't know that those data were available.
Yeah, but you can put in there to present to current so that you can continue getting it in while you're working on this.
Got it. Okay.
Any other questions or comments? All right, if not, do I have a motion to approve with the following additional data requests? The CBM OC1, all 3 special education files, and changing the date to most recent, or the end date to most recent for all data, right?
So moved. This is Rayon.
This is Megan. I'll second.
Great. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, proposal 5, including remote access request UH 121, collaborating for success, evaluating the Rural Schools Innovation Zone. We have someone to present.
Yes, hi, good afternoon. I'm Elise Swanson. I'm the Associate Director of Research at the Center for Education Policy Research, and I'm joined by my colleague, Dr. Kristen Cummings, who is a postdoctoral fellow with us. Thank you so much for taking the time to read through all of the materials and to consider our proposal. So for this project, we're interested in evaluating the Rural Schools Innovation Zone, which is a collaborative of 5 rural districts in South Texas. It's a really innovative model that provides college and career pathways to students while they're still in high school so that they can complete programs in the medical field, welding, a variety of different pathways. We are proposing to answer 4 research questions. What is the impact of academy enrollment on students' likelihood of enrolling in college, persisting to a second year of college, being employed in Texas in the year following their high school graduation, and their average quarterly earnings in the year following graduation. The ERC data is critical to this study because it will allow us to both identify students who have participated in the RSIZ Academy classes, as well as to follow them longitudinally to see those long-term outcomes. We think that this has significant benefits to Texas. The state has expanded this sort of model through the RPEP legislation to encourage other rural districts to work together to offer these types of college and career pathways to students. And so we think that these results can be informative to future state decisions about supporting these types of structures, as well as informative to rural district leaders when deciding whether or not to participate in these. And through those decisions and expansions, it could have big benefits on rural students' long-term outcomes throughout the state. So the data that we're requesting would sort of include it would follow students from 9th grade through to the present so that we could look at their progression through high school and then into college and into the workforce. Happy to answer any questions or adopt any modifications that you all suggest. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Angie. I'll move to approve.
Have a second?
This is Jackie. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being
Thank you.
here. Holly, I was going to check with you. Do we need to push proposal 6 to the end of UTDs?
Yeah, let me.
I just joined Holly, like literally
Oh,
30
great, Marion.
30
I'm so happy. Okay,
30
great.
seconds ago.
Great. So now we're at proposal 6, including remote access request UTD 236. Peer influence, identity, and underinvestment in education among boys.
Great. And again, I'm going to apologize. I'm literally just got off the plane and I'm in the terminal and there might be some background noises. So I'm very sorry about that. So this is, so thanks for allowing us to present this work. So this is a research team that includes myself. I'm a professor of economics at the University of Chicago, Ayad Khalil, who's a development psychologist at the Harris School at UChicago, 3 PhD students that are at the Harris School, one in the economics department, and a pre-doc. The title of our proposal is Peer Influence, Identity, and Underinvestment in Education Among Boys. In terms of the motivation for this work, if you look at the state of Texas, you see significant underrepresentation of boys in post-secondary education, right? So you see boys being less likely to graduate from high school, enroll in post-secondary, and earn kind of higher education credential compared to girls. As I just kind of alluded to, this is not a phenomenon that's just about Texas. It's true of pretty much all of the U.S. states, and in fact true through most of the developed world. I think the motivations, I think the underlying causes behind these gaps just remain fairly poorly understood. We've seen research trying to assess whether the returns, the financial returns to our education were higher for girls and boys, and this research does not kind of confirm any of that. There's other work that points at greater rate of disciplinary issues, lower levels of academic efforts, lower academic aspirations among boys as contributing factors. But here again, we don't fully understand the reasons behind those lower level of efforts and low academic aspirations. So what we are interested in this project is really just to try to dig deeper and explore kind of a new angle behind these gender gaps. I think the other part of motivation before I move on and say kind of what we propose to do is that there's been a lot of research kind of documenting the challenges that girls face in education. There's been a lot of effort in trying to quote unquote correct the underrepresentation of girls in STEM fields, for example, and lots of discussion of that in policy circles and academic circles. There's been much less work that is discussed the challenges than boys face in education. And this is kind of where we would like to position this proposal. So in terms of what we would like to do, we would like to start by some very, very basic descriptive work, really studying kind of gender differences as young people progress through high schools, not just in terms of academic outcomes, but also in terms of behavioral outcomes. We would like to do that in multiple cross sections, kind of multiple cohorts of students to see how things have evolved over time. You know, the trends that I just started as motivational have been changing. So we'd like to see how that changes over time. And we'd like to understand the correlates in a sense of these gaps, whether they are kind of high school characteristics, SES, race characteristics, for example. So it's the first part of the project. We will tie obviously all that to kind of enrollment in post-secondary decisions and completion of post-secondary. The second part of what we want to do is less descriptive in trying to get at, you know, this kind of new potential kind of explanations for why kind of boys may kind of be underrepresented in post-secondary education, and that's to do with social image concerns. So kind of explanation that we have in mind is much more grounded in sociology, and in a nutshell could be summarizes the working hard at school might be more and more perceived the kind of things that girls do. And hence a response, if you're a man, maybe to do exactly the opposite of that, right? So social image considerations, fear of stigma as potential explanations for why boys may not have as high academic aspirations as girls. We have a methodology to try to get at that would exploit the natural variation that would occur from one freshman cohort to another in the share of like top performers in the class that are girls. And our hypothesis would be that the higher the share of like top performers in a freshman year that are girls, the greater the association between hard work is for girls and not cool for boys might be. So that's kind of the model that we would like to evaluate in the data. I hope that this work will benefit the state of Texas. Again, you know, kind of I started by saying that we don't fully understand the causes of male underrepresentation in high school. So hopefully we will kind of get some insights from that. If these social image concerns are important, I think there are practical recommendations in terms of change in education policy that could be considered, from maybe making a set of investment in schooling, maybe less public and a bit more private, to try to kind of think about more kind of male role models, such as alumni, and maybe changing kind of communication strategies at the school level to reduce the association between hard work at school and girls. And then finally, I think we think that with this better understanding of what is going on, educators and counselors might also benefit. The final thing I'll say is just in terms of the FERPA exemptions, we believe that this work falls under this FERPA exemption because the findings can be helpful to improve instruction for K-12 students, may inform targeted education policies, and enhance educators' understanding of the constraints that students face, in particular male students in our context. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board for the researcher?
I have some quick data questions or additions, I guess. If we're going the same route, they requested SPED files, and I guess we would need to add the 3. And then it looks like they would need the CBM OC1, and probably the CBM OCS.
Let me check that because I thought those files were included. Hold on.
Yeah, we noted at least the OC1 and the OCS we noted.
Okay.
Also to add.
Yeah. Okay. And then the only other question is whether you're wanting to link students to teachers.
Sorry, Celeste, I didn't hear what you said.
The only other is whether they're wanting to link students to teachers. I couldn't tell.
Yes, including the winter roster file.
Yes.
Yeah,
the later.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
So yes, that would be needed, the roster.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then actually the teacher class assigned for using prior to the roster.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the linking files.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That was all.
Okay. Thank you, Celeste.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Oh, we did note that there's 6 researchers listed on the remote form.
Oh.
So I'll just do that.
Okay, I will talk to Marianne and her team to kind of figure out which 5 will be included.
Sorry, I have. Correct.
There was
Sorry,
5.
we can figure this out. Sorry, I was
Yeah.
silent because I couldn't find the unmute button on my phone. So I'm so sorry. But my answer was yes to the questions about the linkages and the rosters. So sorry, this is a bit chaotic.
No, we appreciate you being here. Right. If there aren't any other questions or comments, sorry. Do we have a motion to approve with the following amendments? The addition of requesting the CBM OC1, the CBM OCS, specifying the 3 special ed files, adding the 2 TEA linking files, and updating the remote form to have 5 users.
And the class roster.
And the class roster, is that not one of the linking files?
It is Celeste. Melissa said 2. So she's referencing before the winter roster file and the winter roster file.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is Kathy. I move to approve with the amendments.
I'll second Celeste.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
All right, proposal 7, including remote access request UTD 237.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, welcome.
I'm Meredith. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at American University, and this is joint work with Krista Deneau, who is at the Federal Reserve Board of Dallas. So our project aims to study how conditional student loan incentives affect borrowing, college course taking, major choice, and post-graduation labor market outcomes. In particular, we are interested in focusing on the Beyond Time loan program that ran in Texas from 2003 to 2014. And this program offered students interest-free loans that could be fully forgiven if students graduated on time. We believe that our project is closely aligned with the Higher Education Coordinating Board's key priority of increasing the proportion of college graduates who complete a degree with 0 or manageable debt. Our project will assess the effectiveness of this program in decreasing time to degree, the main goal of it, and also students' loan burdens through forgiveness. We will also look at the spillover effects on how receiving a Beyond Time loan would affect educational choices and also labor market outcomes. This information will aid policymakers in Texas in determining the most effective way to design future financial aid programs that align with the state's priorities. We need the ERC data in order to conduct this study because, of course, this program operated in Texas, but also the ERC data allows us to observe all of the financial aid that students receive, including Beyond Time loans, their college course taking patterns, grades, degree major, as well as their labor market outcomes. And finally, we think that our project meets the requirement of the studies FERPA exception because the findings inform the design and administration of financial aid programs, particularly loan programs that tie benefits like loan forgiveness to desired outcomes like time to degree. Thank you for considering our proposal. Happy to answer any questions or take comments.
Okay, thank you. Questions or comments from the board? If there are none, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Jackie. I move to approve.
Have a second?
I'll second Celeste.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. Yeah, thank you.
All right, proposal 8, including remote access request UTD 238, labor market returns to master's degrees, evidence from quick admit programs. I have a presentation for this one.
Hi, yes, my name's Ethan Lewis. This is a joint proposal with Aaron Malatinsky, who should be on the call. We're both fourth-year PhD candidates in economics at Boston University, and we're obviously grateful for the opportunity to share this project with you all today. So first, some motivation. Master's degrees are increasingly popular. In a typical year, well over 1 million master's degrees are conferred in the US. However, the causal effect of obtaining a master's degree on individuals' labor market outcomes is still an open research question. This is of particular relevance in Texas, where public universities now award over 50% more master's degrees than they did in 2010. We aim to address this research question by leveraging quick admit graduate admission policies found at 5 Texas public universities, ranging in size and selectivity. So these programs allow graduating students and alumni with undergraduate GPAs above an explicit cutoff to bypass much or all of their home institution's master's degree application process. So for example, at Texas A&M, engineering majors with a cumulative GPA above 3.25 can automatically enroll in a master's program offered by their undergraduate department. Our research design takes advantage of these strict GPA thresholds, which determine quick admit eligibility. So by comparing students very close to the GPA threshold, we can estimate how program eligibility impacts the likelihood that a student goes on to eventually earn a master's degree. This is what we're calling sort of the first stage of our project, and it'll hopefully address the research question, how do quick admit policies affect students' educational choices? If we find that these policies do increase master's degree attainment, as we suspect, we can then estimate the impact of obtaining a master's degree on labor market earnings by essentially comparing the post-graduation wages of those just above and just below the cutoff. The ERC data are going to be essential for this project. So most crucially, transcript level data will let us calculate students' GPAs precisely, determining who is and isn't quick admit eligible. Student enrollment data lets us determine who actually enrolls in a master's program. And Texas Workforce Commission data allows us to track students into the workforce and observe their quarterly earnings, which is our primary outcome of interest. Other requested data files will give us information on student characteristics, allowing us to determine whether effects differ across subgroups and to test the validity of our research design. We believe this project will be immensely valuable for the state of Texas and Texas policymakers. So the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board's Building a Talent Strong Texas initiative stresses both the importance of increasing post-secondary degree attainment for Texans and also promoting credentials of value. So the first stage of this project speaks to the former goal and will hopefully uncover how quick admit policies have increased advanced degree attainment at adopting schools, while the second stage of this project addresses the latter goal, allowing us to see precisely which master's fields of study offer the highest return on investment for prospective students. We also plan to extend these analyses by predicting how total master's degree attainment would change if quick admit policies were adopted at, for instance, all public universities in Texas, which would give policymakers greater insight into the potential upside of expanding these programs. Thank you again, and we're happy to hear any comments or questions you all might have.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board?
I had one quick addition. On the K-12 side, I didn't know if they wanted more demographic characteristics such as in, say, P-attend demog or P-enroll demog for the students. That would get gifted, special ed, things like that, that might be helpful.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're happy to add any data files that you all recommend for the project.
Any other questions or comments? If not, do I have a motion to approve with the amendment to add a request for P-attend demog and P-enroll demog?
I move to approve with the amendment.
This is Megan. I'll second.
Great, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, proposal 9, including remote access request UTD 239, integrated analysis of the short and medium term impact of COVID-19 on student outcomes in Texas. A presentation on this one.
So I'm going to be presenting this proposal. So this proposal is a project that will be co-led with Dr. Trey Miller from UT Dallas and Dr. Lori Taylor from Texas A&M. And our proposed project is really focused on uncovering the residual impacts of COVID-19 on K through 12 and post-secondary education institutions, and providing empirical evidence to help these institutions fully recover from the pandemic. So based on existing studies, we know that COVID-19 led to immediate declines in student attendance, engagement, and enrollment, and also accelerated teacher turnover. However, we don't know fully how if these trends are continuing, partly due to methodological challenges and just partly due to an overall lack of available evidence. So our proposed study, which builds and draws on 2 existing ERC studies, addresses this evidence gap in 3 parts. So part 1, which will be led by Dr. Taylor, examines the impact of COVID-19 on K through 12 attendance. So it specifically addresses the methodological challenges that researchers face in kind of disentangling the impacts of virtual education and absences on learning gaps that have been observed during and immediately following COVID-19. So Dr. Taylor and her team will use aggregate level data from the National School Lunch Program to refine existing measures of in-person attendance during COVID, and will use these improved measures to examine how attendance and modality influence student test scores and graduation rates. And so through part 1, the goal is to help state and local school officials better understand the effects of online education on students during the pandemic, and really help guide decisions on how to allocate resources to support students learning in online environments. The second part, which is led by Dr. Trey Miller, will track teacher retention before, during, and after the pandemic, and it will specifically examine the determinants of teacher mobility, particularly around factors that predict whether teachers stayed, moved, or switched roles, or left the profession entirely. And so the goal of this analysis is to help also state and school officials identify the pressures driving turnover, help to inform strategies to recruit and retain teachers, and develop kind of an empirical understanding of how teacher turnover rates relate to student outcomes. And finally, part 3, which I'm co-leading with Trey, focuses on community colleges and examines how student enrollment patterns, course taking behaviors, and outcomes have changed across online, hybrid, and in-person modalities between 2015 and 2023. And so part 3 also examines, through the project's qualitative component, how institutional responses, such as offering more flexible course options and diversifying student support services, have impacted student recovery and completion. So from our perspective, if we look at all 3 parts, we think this research really matters for the state of Texas for 3 reasons. So first, we know that virtual education remains really high. There's a lot of students who are still enrolled in online education options, and we see that districts are offering more online and hybrid modalities to help students enroll and succeed at school. And so we hope that our findings will give officials insights into the potential and ramifications of these options on student learning. Second, and we've learned from the good work that's being conducted at UT Austin, teacher turnover continues to challenge schools, particularly in Texas. And so understanding the pressures that were made visible during COVID can help officials design mitigation strategies to help improve the health of the teacher workforce. And finally, the study will help identify effective practices to re-engage community college students to see them through to graduation. So just to close, we argue or contend that this project qualifies under the FERPA exemptions, studies exemption, since it can improve instruction, it can allocate resources effectively and target support for students and teachers across K-12 and higher education. So with that, I'll answer any questions, and Trey and Lori are also on the call to answer questions.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board for the researchers? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve, Celeste.
This is Kathy, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, proposal 10, including remote access requests UTD 240, longitudinal impact study of college and career readiness school models. Anyone here to present on this one?
Yep, that's me. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us today. My name is Kyle Nearing. I'm an economist at the American Institutes for Research. I'm joined today with Chrissy Zeiser, who's principal researcher here as well. As you can see, we're talking about the college and career readiness school model study. That's what we're calling it. And the motivation behind the study is that Educate Texas currently contracts with TEA to provide technical assistance and coaching to CCRSM programs. And I'll say that currently includes the early college high schools and PTEX. And TEA asked Educate Texas to conduct a longitudinal study to better understand the impacts of the CCRSM programs and the extent to which the impacts may vary based on student and program characteristics. Educate Texas has identified us, AIR, as the independent evaluator who will conduct the longitudinal evaluation. So the goal of the study is to assess the impact of CCRSM programs on students' academic outcomes during one high school. So that's going to include like number of college credits earned in high school, on-time graduation, things like that. And after high school, so college enrollment, degree completion, earning a self-sufficiency wage, things of that nature. We will also assess whether there are differences in the impacts by student characteristics. So that could include socioeconomic status, also by program characteristics. So whole school model or school within a school, or by contextual factors like urbanicity. This will be a 2-year project. It's a quasi-experimental design where it'll take place during the 2025-26 and the 26-27 school years. But our sample is going to focus on students who enrolled in grade 9 in either one of early college, high school, or PTEC between fall 2018 and fall 2020, and our comparison group will be students who did not enroll in those programs in kind of neighboring districts who didn't have access to those types of programs. We believe this will be helpful for Texas in a number of ways. In addition to being, requested by TEA, that Texas obviously has had these ECHS programs across the state for a while. The expansion of the PTEC models has been more recent. Most of them have launched in the past 5 years or so. Support for the like CCRSM programs in general has grown over time, and obviously blueprints have evolved to try to maximize access and benefits and stuff for students. So we're hoping these findings will provide both evidence that might support future policies for and funding for these CCRSM programs, as well as maybe some information that will help coaches at Educate Texas support the implementation of the programs across the state. So yeah, if you have any questions, let me know.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Rayan. I move to approve.
This is Jackie, I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, everyone.
All right. Proposal 11, including remote access request UTA 275, student outcomes in Texas due to uncertified teachers and teachers by certification pathway and effects of Texas HB2 of 2025. We have any, oh, hi.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Martyr. I'm Executive Director of UTeach at the University of Texas at Austin, as well as Professor of Physics. And Yuan Wang, who is a contributor to this proposal as well, is also here online to answer your questions. Texas is trying two remarkable experiments in the provision of teachers to the state, one of them intended and the other unintended. The intended experiment is a wide range of options involving alternative certification, including for-profit alternative certification sector that has little parallel elsewhere in the country. The unintended experiment is one that began in the wake of authorization of districts of innovation in 2015 that led to the result that at the moment, the majority of new teachers entering the state workforce each year has been coming in without certification or preparation altogether. The goal of this project is, first of all, to understand the continuing effect upon students and their outcomes of these two experiments, but also to understand the impact as it begins to develop of a very bold legislative move from the last session in order to try to reverse the experiment involving uncertified teachers and to re-engage universities and districts in the cooperative preparation of teachers through the PrEP program. It will take time for the recent legislative changes to assert themselves, and so I don't think we will have complete information by the time this project is done, but at least we'll be able to monitor the continuing developments of the teacher preparation landscape in Texas and consequences for students as the matter proceeds. Benefits for Texas, I think that educational outcomes for students depend tremendously on the quality and nature of teachers in the state. And as I was thinking about describing this to all of you, I identified at least 8 separate constituencies that I believe are interested and have acted in various ways on information about these questions. These include state and national policymakers, education officials of the Texas Education Agency, officials, higher administration officials at universities, practitioners at universities. We should not discount the impact that it can have on students who are considering becoming teachers, because their sense of the worth of their entrance into the profession plays a large role in their decision whether or not to do it. And the general public, I think, has also shown some interest in these matters. So I will resist the urge to continue at much greater length. I could. Yuan, do you want to mention something about your contribution involving the teacher incentive allotment?
Sure. Thanks so much, Michael, for your presentation. So hi, everyone. I'm Yuan. I'm an economics PhD student here at Yale. So in this project, I will mainly work on evaluating the effects of the teacher incentive allotment program on teachers' retention and student achievement. So we know that the teacher incentive allotment program identifies and issues designations to top performing teachers and rewards them with salary increases. So these designations can be seen as a form of teacher certifications. So basically, we are interested in studying how these designations and these additional salary incentives impact the retention of teachers relative to undesignated teachers, as well as how student outcomes will differ between those who are taught by designated teachers and those taught by undesignated teachers. And if the board has any questions about this part, I'm happy to answer them.
Great, thanks to you both. Any questions or comments from the board for the researchers? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Kathy. I move to approve.
This is Megan. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, proposal 12, including remote access requests, UTA 276, our early college high schools, the path forward for dual enrollment, a longitudinal investigation of students post-secondary and workforce outcomes in Texas. Do you have a presentation for this one?
Yes. Hi, this is Priscilla Nogasa. How are y'all doing this afternoon? I want to first apologize. I am at a school with so there may be some background noise. So let me know if I need to move or shush some high schoolers. But thank you so much for having me today. I'm here representing my PI and I, fellow PI, Wes Edwards, who's at UTA. I work at Educate Texas, and we are actually doing this as a way to talk a little bit about some of the work we've already been doing and looking at pathway programs and outcomes in this space. I'm really interested in, we say early college high schools because we know that there's multiple models. We've had, sorry, I'm moving outside. We've had both early college high schools and PTEX in the state, as you all know and heard in former presentations. We know that there's continues to be a real investment in them in the state, very large ones made this past legislative session, but continued efforts work from both state agency, institutions, districts that are really growing these programs. Despite all of that growth, what we also know is that participations vary among low-income students, students of different backgrounds, and those in rural communities as well. So we're really interested in looking at a couple of key pieces. One, systemically comparing the course taking that's happening, what college credit attainment is happening, the graduation, post-secondary outcomes, and workforce outcomes that we see in these students that are enrolled in these early college high school programs, and comparing them to those that are enrolled in dual credit coursework, but may not be in a sequenced early college program. We know there's been a lot of research done on on some of those things separately, right? Both dual credit and on CCRSM models, but there's been less done to look at if there's a difference if a student is enrolled in one that has this sequence of courses, right, that are laid out and articulated and all that. So that's the first part of our study proposal. And the other is to look at these patterns. Well, there's two other parts: patterns by race, economic status, geography, especially given the diversity of the state and where students often find themselves. Access to these different programs are going to vary by no choice of their own. And so how does that look in our state is something that we're very curious about. And lastly, looking at some of these organizational structures and how those might be aligned with some of the increased student success outcomes. We're looking to look at the data spanning from 2010 to the present, and it crosses across a couple of different pieces of information. Given that we're looking at outcomes data, we're asking for data that includes TA, coordinating board, SBEC, TWC, and National Clearinghouse data as well. We hope to do this look to really get a sense of how different those a la carte programs, as we called it in the proposal, versus sequence programs really impact what our students are experiencing. And I'll stop there. I don't know if there's any additional pieces or questions that I can answer.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
This
This
is
is
Kathy.
Megan.
I second Megan's motion to approve, assuming that's what Megan was about to say.
Yes, yes.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here. All right. Proposal 13, including remote access request UTA 277, Pathways to Prosperity.
Yes, hello everyone, and thank you board members and chair. My name is Robert Stein. I am a researcher at E3 Alliance. I'm presenting today, and two of my colleagues are also here along with me, Annalise Rhodes and Rodrigo Lopez. So E3 Alliance, we're a Central Texas education collaborative that partners with school districts and community organizations using data to explore and understand current topics of interest to our partners with the goal of improving instruction education systems. The project we're proposing today seeks to analyze data from secondary, higher education, and workforce to answer questions related to course taking and degree completion patterns of students. Our analysis of this data would be both within the Central Texas region and in comparison to other regions of Texas and across Texas as a whole. Findings we hope will help drive progress towards meeting post-secondary and workforce-related goals that are set out in our nonprofit strategic objectives. Those goals include boosting college-aligned course taking in high school, post-secondary completion, and workforce attainment, particularly for students from low-income households. We'll also identify course taking and degree completion patterns of secondary and post-secondary students and look at how these patterns change over time. We also will employ statistical modeling to identify key courses, programs, credentials, and student or teacher characteristics that are linked to successful post-secondary and workforce outcomes. And this work that we're doing is, we think, well aligned with Texas's focus on providing pathways to economic mobility and prosperity. We have a network of partners and communities of practice in Central Texas and across the state. Together, we can look at this data and analysis with them to understand kind of bright spots, areas of opportunity, and collectively design solutions to unlock better outcomes for our students and families. And we think students, families, and educators across Texas will benefit from our research here. So thank you for your consideration, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Questions or comments from the board? If not, do I have a motion to approve?
It's Holly, I motion to approve.
This is Angie. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
All right, proposal 14, including remote access requests UTA 278, off the beaten path, mapping unconventional enrollment pathways through higher ed.
Great. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much. My name is Brennan Mange. I'm a senior research and policy analyst at the University of Texas System. I work in the Office of Institutional Research and Analysis. Super grateful to be here. I know this is a long meeting, so I'm grateful for time on the agenda and all of your consideration. This project kind of stems from the idea that most of the research about student success in higher ed, and certainly most of the research that I do, focuses on cohorts of students that take what I'll call conventional pathways through college. These are students that enroll right after high school and persist through at a single institution, or maybe do vertical transfer between two institutions a single time before stopping out or completing a degree. And I think that this research is essential, right? It's super important to understanding college success, but if we only focus on this sort of subset of students, we are not sort of getting a complete picture of the range of enrollment experiences in higher ed. And so that's why this project is going to take a closer look at students that engage in what I'll call unconventional enrollment patterns. I think there's a lot of good anecdotal evidence that suggests that the way students interact with higher ed is changing quickly, maybe particularly since the COVID-19 pandemic. And the research that does look at unconventional enrollment patterns often is unable to follow students after they leave institutions of higher education, which is why I think this project is a great way to use the ERC data. I think the rich and longitudinal nature of these data will allow us to provide an updated and complete picture of unconventional enrollment across Texas. So this study will explore, like I said earlier, a subset of enrollment patterns that I think warrant further exploration. And so the specific enrollment patterns that I will look at in this study are taking a gap year between high school and college of 1 to 3 years, swirling, which we can think of as serial transfer across multiple institutions, double dipping or concurrent enrollment at multiple institutions, and discontinuous enrollment, which is enrollment on either side of intermittent short periods of stop out. Finally, the study seeks to leverage the rich longitudinal data in ERC on cohorts of post-secondary students in Texas to identify trends in enrollment patterns, the characteristics of students who engage in unconventional enrollment patterns, and the post-secondary and labor market outcomes that are associated with those patterns. And in doing so, my hope is that this study will contribute knowledge about understudied pathways through higher education in Texas, and provide decision makers and policymakers with important information as they seek to support the success of all students across Texas. I welcome comments and questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Are there questions or comments from the board? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
This is Jackie. I move to approve.
I second, Yuji.
Okay, Yuji seconded. Oh, sorry. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here. All right, proposal 15, including remote access requests, UTA 279, labor markets, educational decisions, and career outcomes of young adults.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. I'm Emily Harrison. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Texas at Austin, and this project is joint work with Maithili Vinakota, who's an economic fellow at the Institute for Policy Integrity at NYU, as well as Harshit Kapoor, who's a PhD student also at the University of Texas at Austin. And both Maithili and Harshit are here on the call to answer questions as well. So a brief description of our project, which has two main questions. One, how do local labor markets shape the educational decisions of young adults in Texas? And two, how do these educational decisions affect their subsequent career outcomes? So changes in local labor market conditions where young adults either graduate high school or where they attend college can influence their educational decisions in a variety of ways. And one example that we focus on in our proposal is in the aftermath of a hurricane or other natural disasters, we may see a short-term surge in demand for skilled trades, which temporarily raises wages for jobs that don't require a college degree. So in this context, we first want to answer whether these changes in labor market conditions shift high school seniors away from college to instead enter the workforce directly or change the types of courses they take and majors that they pursue in college. And second, we want to know how these educational decisions impact their earnings and career trajectories in the long run. So ERC data is necessary for this project because it provides individual level geographically granular records that are necessary for us to link students' high school locations to nearby local labor market shocks, such as those caused by natural disasters, as well as track their educational and career outcomes over time. So this project doesn't use any individual level supplemental data, but we are requesting to merge in some publicly available spatial data on trajectories of hurricanes that made landfall in Texas, as well as their distance to Texas high schools. This project, we believe, meets the requirements of the study's FERPA exemption because its findings can help improve instruction for students in Texas by informing whether to expand course offerings to better align with students' needs in changing labor markets. And we think that this study also provides additional benefit to Texas by informing whether different policies may be necessary to better support students after a sudden change in local labor markets, such as those caused by natural disasters. So thank you so much for your consideration. We're happy to answer any questions you have or make any modifications that the board recommends.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? And if not, do I have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve, Eugene.
A second.
This is Megan. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thanks for being here.
Thank you, everyone.
All right. Item 9 was removed from the agenda. So item 10, motion to adjourn.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks.